Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. What truly is the role of the Federal Character Commission? Is it the solution or is it the cause of our national division and issues? Today, we'll be discussing this in more details. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back on the Osasu Show. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Osasu Show. With me right now is Dr. Shatima Buka Abba, who is the acting chairman of the Federal Character Commission. Thank you so much for joining me.
Okay, welcome.
Can we discuss briefly the mandate of the Federal Character Commission? I believe we have two mandates. The first, which covers appointment and employment, and the third, which covers the infrastructure gap. So can you talk to us more about that?
Well, thank you very much. As you rightly said, Federal Character is a constitutional committee that being mandated by the Constitution to look into two aspects, as you have rightly pointed out. That is the issue of employment in both federal, state, and local governments, and also the issue of infrastructure facilities, social amenities, and economic services that are being provided by federal government. At present, we have concentrated more on issues of employment simply because of some historical reasons of people complaining of marginalization, complaining of underrepresentation, complaining of they are not being given the right opportunity to participate in the federal system. And that's explained the reason why the federal government put in place the Federal Character Commission with 37 commissioners drawn from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT to ascertain the participation of all states of the Federation in the Federal Character appointments. In that no state, for example, should have more than 2.5% of the total population of a particular MDA, and no state should have more than 3%. But if you look at it at the moment, because of some historical antecedents and historical reasons, you find certain states having more than 10%, more than 15%, because of the initial employment being done prior to the appointment of a federal character. And it's not possible for the Commission to say, since they are over the 3% prescribed by law, you dismiss all of them and then employ on this basis. So we came out with a formula of ascertaining that people should, when they employ, look at the states which are underrepresented seriously, and then give them more preference to the states which are overrepresented. For example, if you take a particular institution, for example, let's take NTA, for example. If you now look at NTA and then see that there are more people from a particular state that is being represented than other states, then we will now advise NTA to, if you are employing, please, this is what you are going to do. Take a small number from that particular state and take a larger number from that particular state so that you can eventually close the gap. How do you close the gap? You close the gap either by retirement or by death or by resignation. So that at the end of the day, over time, it's not something that will happen overnight. And then over time, you now close this gap. And the federal character is not about north or south. Federal character is about states. So if you look at state and if you look at a particular organization or ministry or department in a particular state, there is no state in the federation that is not marginalized. It depends on the area you are operating. For example, take for example University of Ahmadu Bello University, for example, or University of Maiduguri, or University of Osuka, if you subject it to federal character, and then look at the quantum of the staff there and divide by 37 states, you'll definitely find some states which are not there. And those which are not there are technically marginalized.
Yeah, so I agree with you, but the biggest issue we find out with the federal character principle is that those people who are not fit to be in certain positions are giving preference to other people who qualify due to meeting a quota system. Do you see the challenge in this?
No, this is the mistake people make. Federal character is not about a quota system. And it's not about robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's not like this. Federal character is about allowing people from all the states to participate in an organization of a federal government, provided they are qualified. If they are not qualified, no federal character principle or no federal character has said employ that particular person simply because he is not qualified. If it is being done, it is the chief executive perhaps and the people who are doing it. It's not the federal character. And when we look at it, we frown at it and we query it.
But you agree that it does exist in the system presently. There are times when we have to meet a certain quota, when people who are underqualified are made...
What I'm saying is, it is not true. It's not a quota. You see, let me tell you the scenario. We say if you are employing, first of all, you must advertise. Advertise in 2 newspapers that is being widely read in the country. And then you now bring to us your nominal role. How many people are existing in your own organization? Then we now ask you to bring to us all the list of the people who applied, irrespective of whether they are qualified or not. And then you also bring to us shortlisted candidate, so that we look at those who are shortlisted. And then you bring to us your own criteria of employment. Your own criteria is, for example, he must be graduate, he must have first class, he must get 60% of the interview you are conducting, he must get this and that. You give us your template of employment. When you give the template of employment, then we now look at the template of employment. And then when we ask you to go and conduct the interview, either oral or written interview, then when you bring the interview, the Constitution asks to go and monitor and ensure compliance. Do not say go and appoint. We are not appointing authority. We go and monitor and ensure compliance. How do you go and monitor and ensure compliance? We only go and look at it, give us your criteria. And then you look at it, and then you said anybody who scores 60 is employable. Anybody who says 60 is employable. So if a state is marginalized, for example, take Ebonyi State, for example. If Ebonyi State has nobody, and in the interview there are 5 people from Ebonyi State who got 60%, and there are 5 people in other states who are overrepresented, got 70%. Okay. We will advise you to take this Ebonyi State that is 60 because they are employable.
Exactly.
But if you go and employ 59%, not 60, then you are compromising your own merit. It's not federal character. Okay. But you must give us a target of employable target. What do you think is employable in your organization? 70, 80 is left for you. But if you tell us that we want to 70% and anybody who gets 70% is employable in our organization, then we will now come and say, right, that is okay. You employ him. But if they could not score 70 and he scores 69 or 68, and you employ that person, you are on your own.
Okay. Dr. Shatima, let's take a short break now, and when we return, we'll look at the second mandate of the Federal Character Commission. Yes. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back on the Osasu Show.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Welcome back to the Osasu Show. Still with me is Dr. Shatima Buka Abba, who is the acting chairman of Federal Character Commission. Thank you so much for sitting tight.
Welcome.
Before we went on break, we were debating whether or not the federal character principle is hampering national development. Dr. Shatima Buka Abba has explained to us that it's not a quota system, as many Nigerians think. However, we'll be looking at the second mandate of the Federal Character Commission now. So can you talk to me more about the infrastructure part of your provisions and the ongoing training, I believe, that you have implemented for the MDAs?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. What happened is that all along we are trying to explain to Nigerians what the federal character is in terms of employment. But there is other aspect of the mandate of the federal character, which you rightly pointed out, is to look at the position of infrastructural facilities, social amenities, and economic services as provided by federal government. And then in most cases, people claim of marginalization, that this area has not been given this, and this area has been not given that. And from the records we have, we look at the budgetary provisions of all the federal government in the last 5 years, and have seen the work of the government, particularly in the last 2 years, as to the distribution of social amenities, such like Empower, like the school feeding program, and other things which are being spread across the length and breadth of this country. You find it. The same thing if you go into roads development and other physical infrastructure. We have seen the houses development that is going on. We have seen the roads development that is going on. We have seen the railway and other things. All these things are going on across the length and breadth of this country. And you cannot point and tell me that a railway is only meant for only one state or only one particular area. If there is a railway from Lagos to, let's say, to Port Harcourt, running from Lagos to Port Harcourt, or from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, or from Lagos to Kano, and to even to Nguru in the northeast, you cannot say these railways are serving only the people of that particular region or particular state. So in terms of these things, the provision of these things are also addressing the issue of infrastructure or issue of social amenity to other things. These are there. But these things are Nigerians, because they misunderstood both things. We have decided to go into automation, the training of some key officers from the ministries and departments to key into statistics and then made it available to individuals like you, like me, to everybody who wants to find out what is the work of that particular organization, what is the employment situation, how many Nigerians are in that particular thing, or how many people from this state in that particular area. The training avails us to, at a glance, just you point your computer and then you get a data for these things, which are formally not being given out because of the difficulties in people getting this data, and therefore talking so many things. Talking the wrong thing, talking whether it is right or wrong, this employment is higher, this is not done, this is...
So are you saying that, for example, like in the Ministry of Power Works and Housing,
yes,
so any infrastructural project they want to embark on,
yes,
they first of all have to approach the Federal Character Commission to ensure that the project is felt, or the impact of the project is felt by everyone across the 36 states and the FCC?
Yes, not only that, the information you require, even without coming to federal character. Once, if you know the template and then the website and all these things, you can just punch it and then look at it as to what has been done in the whole year for this state by this government, or what has been, and what employment has been made for this particular district for this thing. How many people are from my state for that? Then you can talk from informed point of view, not from the fact that because you heard somebody say I'm marginalized, you begin to make noise. And if you come to the south...
So what do you do when you get to certain states and you find out that the majority of the population who are seeking employment are unemployable? What's the role of the Federal Character Commission then?
You see, I have a background of a school teacher. I always find out when you say unemployable, you see, you look at the type of the thing is happening in the system, in the universities and in the colleges and in the secondary schools. When you don't have teachers who are themselves not employable, teaching people, at the end of the day, you this thing. The only solution is that you employ them and embark them on training. Whether we like it or not, they have got certificates which are first class. When they come in, they cannot perform. I am pleading with Nigerians to, as you ask the right question, federal character is the only institution, when properly accepted, contributes to the unity and the integration of this country. The only thing perhaps I would like to say, which federal character may not do, is that perhaps we will now talk about Nigerians. If you instead talk about states, we better talk about where you live. You understand? Instead of your state of origin, you talk about the state of residence.
I see.
If you do that, that one perhaps may reduce these bickerings of this thing. But otherwise, federal character is the one is for integration, for national development, for national cohesion. If you look at it, is one of the very important and one of the most pragmatic way of solving a problem of this integration. This is the way.
But when you look at more developed countries, Nigeria is still a developing country, or some would categorize us as an underdeveloped country. But when you look at developed countries that do not have federal character, how do you think they're able to cope and have a cohesive and inclusive society without establishing a commission such as this? Because some would argue that this commission is actually divisive.
I understand you. It's not. You see, you are not terribly correct to say states are not using it. If you come to the United States, you have so many things like positive discrimination. You have what do you call it? This issue of racial this thing, and then you have so many organizations which are similar to federal character. In those organizations that provide some kind of positive discrimination. Understand? For blacks, for example, in America, let's say this type of thing, they should be given this, they should be treated. If you come to England, for example, you have the integrated courses, which are for racially discriminated people, children, all these things are there. But these things are not aimed at discriminating, but aimed at bringing at par with other Nigerians who can now participate. If you go to India, you find some caste classes are being given some positive discrimination. If you come recently, women, for example, federal character considers women as part of the discriminated people. So we get positive discrimination. We have given people who are disabled. We don't even consider federal character in them because they are part of the marginalized in terms of employment. So if you come and if you have 5 women in this and then they perform it, and then you want to take all of them 5, irrespective of their sex, we say take it. If it is physically challenged, this is what we say take it. And this is what the government is preaching. There are positive discrimination which eventually it will come to an end if we positively apply it. But if you apply it with some kind of sentiment and other things, I definitely think it may not be realizable.
Some people see true federalism, restructuring, which is now the buzzword in Nigerian polity. But some people see true federalism as the solution to what federal character is trying to accomplish. True federalism in the sense as divesting power from the central government to the state governments. So the state governments are now in charge of their resources. They can employ those indigents of their states and empower them. Do you agree with this?
Personally, I have seen all forms of structure. You have not seen it. I have seen all forms of structure, although I'm a small boy by then. I have seen from regional governments, I have seen from creation of 12 states to 19 states to 21 states to 36 states to whatever thing. I've seen it from few native authorities to 774 local governments. It has not solved the problem. It's not the structure that is important. What is important is to get a good leadership. And we are getting one. And things are now beginning to change.
Dr. Shatima Bukar Aba, that is a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much for coming on today's program. That's it for today's episode of the Osasu Show. To watch extended clips from this interview, you can visit our website, tostvnetwork.com. We have a new component of our website which is called the People's Candidate. The People's Candidate is an initiative that avails you the opportunity to nominate who you want to be president in 2019. We can no longer afford a select few party leaders dictating to us who will lead us for the next 4 years. Therefore, it is imperative that we get involved. 180 million of us get involved earlier on in the electoral process to dictate who will emerge in the primary elections of these political parties. So to get involved, visit tostvnetwork.com and click on The People's Candidate. For news on sustainable development and current affairs across Africa, you can visit our website and follow us on social media at The Osasu Show, at TOS TV Network, at Osasu Igbenedion on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll see you same time, same place next week. And until then, take very good care of yourself. God bless you.
If I have to talk about candidates, I'll prefer political candidates who are under 50. Now I'll give you the reason. People who are under 50 are those who were born practically after the Civil War. And you see, all the issues of ethnicity like we hear in the country are issues that only those who were born after the Civil War did not experience. And as long as we have those in the ruling class who saw the religious uprisings of the 50s and the 60s, there will always be a serious bite of ethnicity in the politics of Nigeria. So only those who were born after the Civil War, who did not see the crisis, who did not know the animosity, the bitterness between the diverse ethnic groups, there are those who can rethink and reinvent Nigeria.
Currently, I don't have any particular person in mind, but definitely this current president is not it for me personally. It's not delivering at all, so it's not even an option for as far as I'm concerned. The truth is, just going by names is not enough. I think by the time the election window comes closer, we'll be able to know from what they have to offer, what they tell us, because right now it's just speculations.
I would like President Muhammadu Buhari to still continue in 2019. For example, President Muhammadu Buhari, he has tried a lot. So due to that, there are some qualities that a president should possess, and of which some of them are transparency, honesty, and also discipline. And also a leader as well should be caring for his people. So I think these are some of the qualities that I would like a president to have for his people if I were to contest for him in 2019.
I will nominate based on commitment to governance, to good governance. And I will say if the current president, Muhammadu Buhari, will not contest again, then I think there are other well-meaningful Nigerians that I think are fit and are good to go. People like Rochas Okorocha, I think if the presidency will be zoned to the Igbo side, I think I will nominate Rochas Okorocha based on his charismatic personality for good governance and his love for education in Nigeria. I expect our leaders of 2019 to be a very vibrant leader, a leader who is for the people, a leader who believes in and have respect for rule of law, a leader that has zero tolerance for corruption, and a leader who believes that Nigeria can be great despite our diversity in religious, ethnicity, and what have you. So we really want a leader that will be honest to Nigerians and be ready to serve Nigerians.
My name is Muhammad Alamin.
My name is Comrade Zakari Hashim.
My name is Mrs. Hawa.
My name is Kingsley Okafor. I support People's Candidate.
I support People's Candidate.
And I support the People's Candidate.
And I support the People's Candidate comes 2019.